This is something I want to bring y'all attention if we go to a quarterly chart. One second. So now look, if we go to a quarterly chart on Nasdaq, we only got 18 days left in this quarter, which means we'll be an inside candle unless we can sweep the low of this previous quarter. This is where things get interesting. I don't know. I think we can consolidate and leave this to be an inside candle, but regardless, we're too close to the low of this previous quarter. And what I believe will happen is we'll just end up sweeping this quarter before we go back to the upside. And on top of that, we have a fair value gap. I don't use fair value gaps in my analysis, but it's just important to know that they're there. So we have a fair value gap right here. When we close out this quarter and we go into April, this is where things will probably get interesting. Because if this liquidity doesn't get swept, that means we still have downside to go. Since we're inside of this range, we're inside of this range here. We're going to be on a 2-1-2. We're going to break out in either direction. If we break out to the downside first, we're going to sweep the low of this quarter and possibly tap into this fair value gap before we go up. It's important that whenever this month closes out, we need some type of bottom. We need to find some bottom support of this range. This is important to Bitcoin because like I told you, Nasdaq and Bitcoin move similar. Big Bitcoin, if it wasn't crypto, I believe it would be a part of the Mag 7. And as you know, all the Mag 7s move alike. I'm not gonna show you right now because I'm gonna lose my train of thought. But Nasdaq has this much downside to go. If we were to pull back, if this is going to remain a bearish year, we have around 30. We have around a 30% drop if we don't find some support soon. And if you want to kind of guesstimate where we would find support, we could just draw a fib from this to here, and we got about 21,000, which would be the mid range of these two of this entire broad information range. So what I believe will happen is when we continue downwards, we'll end up finding some support somewhere before we start to push back up. But seeing as Bitcoin is already at the bottom of its range, Bitcoin is at the bottom of a range right now as we speak. I'm gonna delete these lines because I don't want to confuse too many people. I'm just gonna have two ranges right here. So look, Bitcoin on a monthly chart, we're at the bottom of this range. But if you go to the quarterly, this is where things was getting interesting to me because wait, where was that one? There was something I was actually looking at. Was it the 6 month? Okay, never mind. Never mind. I had set my alert, but the chart looks a lot different. Anyways, if Bitcoin finishes out this monthly candle and we're an inside candle, that means we're trapped in the range of this mother bar, which is just a candle that we're just stuck inside the range of. That means the price will just consolidate. That just means we just been consolidating in this range, and we might continue to consolidate. Now, I would say we would continue this sideways movement for 3 months because if you go to this 6 month candle on Bitcoin, if you go to the 6 month and you look at historical data, after every 2 6 month candles that we get that's bearish, we end up having a massive run. So what I mean by that is that if you look at the last time we had 2 6 month candles that closed red, the very next candle, 6 month candle that opened after this candle ended up going on a massive run to a 500% return. The time before that was here when we had two red 6 month candles. And after this candle had closed, we went on a little run, a 200% return before we go on this massive run. So now Bitcoin We're going to close this candle out red most likely, but we have 3 months left. So I say you have 3 months to accumulate as much as you can before we go on another massive run to possibly 200%, whatever 200% would be here, maybe 100% to about 170 something thousand, or wherever the top of this broad information line is. I don't know why I'm guesstimating. So around 140,000, I predict I predict we'll hit 140,000. This is where I believe Bitcoin is going next. But to align this with NASDAQ, what we